君の言葉繰り返し寝ても覚めてもやまないそっけない君の笑顔が恋しくて星に願うのまた会えるよね
What up? What up? What up?
What up? I just was sending you a message because I remembered to send it.
We are on stream, by the way. Do you need me to mute our?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
26th of June, I won't be able to podcast. I'll be in Disney World.
Oh darn! A month's notice. I'm never gonna be able to make that work. It's almost like I'm a normal person and not an employer that's not gonna fuck you whenever you request for time off.
It's funny too because instead of you paying my paychecks every time you pay taxes, I'll be paying your paycheck this time.
Nobody gets paid for shit around here except for me anytime Paul does the thing that he enjoys. And in that case, I make money.
Yep. Truly my greatest hobby.
And your greatest downfall. If only you had a hobby that didn't... Oh, shit. Wait. Oh. I may or may not have accidentally clicked on the close out button instead of going to post the Twitch stream in Discord. My bad.
It is though, like I'm so amped because I got my unit to let me split train. That was big. So now I can do Tiana the first day. So we shall see. What's up, Con?
Episode 127.
And I'm gonna see Fall Guy allegedly this weekend, possibly next weekend.
Ooh.
So that'll be fun.
You get to contribute to the box office downfall, apparently, that is that? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's failing really bad.
It's always interesting watching the movie takes that pop up on my feed because Con ends up retweeting them or talking about them. I get to see some of the discussion. It's like, oh, what do you know? I'm in the know for once. I say that as if I don't know from my job and stuff like that.
How movies are doing.
Con said Survivor finale tonight. The only thing that I know is I saw the Empire State Building cook somebody on Twitter horrendously. And I was like, wait, because they said somebody said something about like the Empire State Building being overrated, and the quote retweet was like, guess you should have used that idol or something. I was like, okay, wait a minute. Is that a Survivor reference? I click on it and they're a Survivor contestant. I was like, oh no, you got the Empire State Building cooking people on Twitter.
Oh
That's not
jeez.
good.
Oh jeez.
Oh god. But let's kick this shit off. Episode 127. Welcome everybody to the Crossover Podcast. I thought this was gonna be a slow week. It's not. Turns out. There's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where do you wanna start? I'll let you direct your or direct it a little bit.
Well, we didn't talk about or we haven't met since MSI ended, I guess. So I guess the first thing would be tough for G2.
Yeah.
Haven't quite got over the hump yet of, Korea 2 seed, but they have got past LPL 2 seed, so that's pretty big, I'd say. Did they ever play BLG?
Nope.
Even?
No, they played T1
Yes, we
and
don't
lost
even
them
know.
twice.
But that's tough for them. I guess just like quick running through it. BLG and Gen G, I guess, just seem like the best. T1 had a bit of a falter for now, but I mean, they usually heat up for Worlds, so
Assuming Faker's
that
wrist
doesn't.
is going to be okay.
True. That is another thing. And then I guess just I mean, dude, 5 Chinese just can't get it done, I guess. Just not the system. They need a Korean.
Nope. First time in 7 years that Korea has won MSI. That's
Yep,
wild. That's fucking
that
wild.
is a crazy thing.
The
Super
question becomes
insane.
now. So LCK teams couldn't get it done back then. Nobody was able to complete the Golden Road. Is Gen G now the most qualified to do it? Because in theory, they're a shoe-in to win LCK Summer, especially with Faker likely taking a rest. I don't see anybody coming close to contending with them really. So
Yeah, and Pays is just a really good ADC, and I think they're trying to get ADCs back to strong
back to
in
strong,
pro
bro.
play.
He killed every LPL ADC that
No,
was
I mean
supposedly
they're
gonna be
trying to
like
get
the.
the role. I'm saying they're trying to get
I
the
get
role
you.
back to where you can 1v9. And I think like him being able to 1v9 like is gonna be bad news for everybody. But yeah, you are right. Like he was making ADC look like a normal role anyways. Like you'd have no idea other people have been struggling on it, and top laners are like an unkillable demon when you
Yep.
watch that dude. But yeah, I mean they should do it. Chovy's Chovy. Like he's finally gotten over that hurdle. They have Canyon and Jungle, and Canyon's just a rock, man. Like there's nothing else to say. That
No.
dude is just so good, and Keen's playing really good. So
I said we'd have
I
to
don't
wait a
know.
week to discuss it, and now I think it's an appropriate time to do it, especially given
Mhm.
the Hall of Legends announcement and everything else there. If Chovy were to pull off the or the Golden Road, win Worlds and win MSI, the first player ever to do it, the first mid laner to ever do it, and is like, where does that put him? Like all time,
Mm,
where does that put him?
and mid laners.
No, everybody, all time.
Oh, everybody probably. I'd say he's probably second. I'm trying to think of who could compete with him for second,
I think
or
he
who would
immediately
be in
goes above
that.
Uzi. Like so Uzi was like Uzi to
Yeah,
me is like the second. I don't want to say second best player of all time because like he doesn't have the accolades to back it up
yeah, he
to a
doesn't.
certain extent, but like most people would genuinely consider him second. And the moment you throw in a world's title over that, he's immediately over Uzi. He's already got the domestic success. He's
Yeah,
had the consistency in terms of like best player in the world for such a long period of time that it's like, for me at least, I think he jumps up to second best all time.
yeah. I think he's. I mean, he's probably second best. I can't think of anybody who hasn't beat. I mean, Showmaker wouldn't at that point. Um, yeah, maybe Rookie.
Ooh, Rookie's a good one. Yeah.
Rookie is really good. Um, that's probably it though.
I mean, Canyon, I guess, has to go up there too then, no?
Yeah,
Because
that's actually true.
didn't Canyon win a title
Yeah, he already has a Worlds.
with Damn One, right? Or no, who did he get it? Was it Canyon and Showmaker at Damn One?
No, yeah, it was
Yeah.
Canyon has a Worlds.
So he has a Worlds, and he's got multiple LCK titles now.
Yeah,
That it's like, okay, he would have 2 Worlds and an MSI. I
yeah.
mean,
Canyon's a close second. I mean, that is a really good point. You said that. Like Canyon probably is second. Well, could be second to some people, but I think Chovy, because of who he is and the hype behind him, is gonna get that spot. I think Pays is also like a really good one to put in that second. I mean, all things considered, right? My Discord just
I
crashed.
don't think
Am
I'd
I
be
still
willing to
here?
put. Yeah, you're still here.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I'd be
No,
willing to put Pace second. I think that's a stretch.
I know people won't, but I'm saying like hype wise and prospect wise, Pays is closer to a thing, is closer to what Faker's trajectory has been if they win Worlds than anyone else alive right now. Like, I don't think there's anybody closer than getting near that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would be on the road. He's super young. He's already going to have a Worlds and a MSI in this theoretical world. And he's won LCK 4 times at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know.
I'm happy that Beans calling Athlete wasn't Canyon the one that won it with Samsung. It's like, bro, we have an entire music video about Ambition's climb. That
Yeah.
year, the entire Rise music video is about Ambition and like his journey up there. Oh
No, that's
man.
true. Do you think Pays like do you think the arguments there at least doesn't
No.
make sense?
No, I don't think it does yet. Not
Really?
yet. I just think there's a
Interesting.
for Pace.
Too young?
I think I think you got too much time. And the problem is like I hate to move on from MSI already, but the problem is like with LoL esports, we move on from actually I feel like with all sports, we move on very quickly. Like even when I look back to like the Super Bowl, like we celebrated the Chiefs winning for what 24 hours, and then
Yeah.
moved on almost immediately until there was like the shooting at the parade afterwards. But like I don't know, everybody just kind of moved on to the next thing. I'm weary that Faker getting the Hall of Legends nod is going to, in a lot of people's eyes, try and push current players in when it really shouldn't.
Uh-huh.
Like the fact that we're entertaining the Pays article, right, or the Pays argument now for even top 5, like I think is only there because of Faker getting Hall of Legends. I think otherwise we would consider everybody else throughout the history of LoL esports before we go to Pays. Because I mean, I would put historically Reckless up there.
What for what?
Just in terms of career longevity, like shit, like he was performing at a international level for quite a long time. I put Perks above Pays.
Oh, for now, yeah.
Perks is above him. Caps is above him.
Well,
they both have the same accolades in terms of both domestic and international success.
Well, I'm saying if he wins Worlds,
if he wins Worlds, then the conversation shifts ever so slightly.
But the thing is, he is 18.
That's the part where it's like, okay,
he's 18 years old. I know he's on a dream team.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not like saying he's, on some like insane roster, but his birthday's in December. So he would have MSI Worlds and 4 LCK titles at 18. Like really 18, not just like close to 18. Like
would he be the youngest player to ever win Worlds?
I don't know. I don't even know how to I wouldn't want to go through and check that, to be honest. Unless it's an easily Googleable thing. But
don't you find it amazing how quickly the conversation shifts to Worlds?
Oh yeah, well, it's just how it is. Like Chovy got over the hump, like it was really cool. Everyone was happy for him. But also it's kind of, I would say in a sense, it's kind of on Riot for this one. Like releasing the Hall of Legends when they did, like not saying that was a bad thing, but that it did, like once you saw that and you saw Faker, like no, now you're thinking only Worlds people, because
Yeah.
MSI winners aren't going to get considered for the Hall of Legends as much as Worlds winners are.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how life is. Like, we may disagree, but it's like just how it is. Oh, Cyanide won at 16. That'll never be beat in season 1.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That'll never be beat because it's not legal anymore to
yeah.
beat.
I don't know. I I guess we might as well talk about the Hall of Legends thing because that's like all the discussion today, and like that's
Yeah.
kind of top of everybody's mind. What was your initial reaction when you saw the video, when you saw all the details? Like, give the rundown. I'm gonna grab a drink real quick while you do that, but I will be listening to it on my phone so I can hear you.
Cool. I would say super hype, like really, really cool video. Got me really hyped to see it in all the plays. Waiting for the actual big video because that's like what I think will really get the nostalgia out of people. And you can't pick a better player who embodies League of Legends. I mean, it's just how it is. Whether or not he's uh what is it called? Current or not, and whether or not I agree with that is a whole separate argument for another time. I kind of like, as much as I don't like, I do kind of like it, the thought of it being single man exclusive, like once a year, one guy. That just feels like the Hall of Legends is going to be this really tough thing to get in. Like, you're really going to have made an impact either through fan impact and being big, or you're going to have to be like legitimately one of the best to have ever done it. I think that's kind of an interesting take on it. I mean, for sake of being different, I mean, the traditional sports fan in me doesn't understand the Hall of Legends at all, but I would say the like newness of it is pretty interesting. I
Yeah.
gotta give them that. It's unique. Like, it's very unique.
I will say the one person per year thing, piggybacking off of your comment on that. At first, I was like, okay, that could be problematic.
Oh yeah.
You got a lot of history, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, if you truly only do one per year, this might be the hardest Hall of Fame to get into across
Oh
any
yeah.
sport, across anything. And the fact that they're commemorating that each and every year with an event in game, I think is actually like I legitimately am liking it the more and more I think about it. I still don't like the fact that it's not a retired player thing. You will never be able to convince me that like that is not the better and more appropriate way to go. Sorry, I don't care like if it's Faker first. Like I would rather have waited until Faker retired.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, Riot wanted to do it now. They want the cash grab. They want like everything that's going to be there.
Yeah.
But I genuinely now like that it is one per year, with the exception that there needs to be like every 2 years or every 3 years. I don't know how they want to do this, how they want to make the criteria because like the broadcast personalities don't change all that much. You need
Mhm.
to have a Hall of Legends and you need to put a media personality in there as well. Because whether people agree with this or not, there's a reason why head coaches get in there or in Hall of Fames. There's a reason why broadcast personalities get accepted into Hall of Fames because the people that tell the stories are not just as important, but they are up there with the people that write the stories themselves with their games and their gameplay. So you need to make sure that there's a way to recognize that talent as well, because then it also gives, you know, as iconic as like Faker's plays are, like we remember Captain Flowers calling half of them as well. And like
Yep.
Captain Flowers' voice is iconic in League of Legends and in all of esports forever and needs to be commemorated when it's time. And that's a
Yeah.
tougher one because they could technically go forever, ever. So like,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
yeah. It's gonna be interesting. The reason I kind of liked it the more I sat on one person was someone for the same thing you're saying of like it really makes the Hall of Legends like you have to actually be a legend.
Yeah.
Like there's no like you can also have your Hall of really good, right? Like in the NFL, that's always the thing they say. Like it's not Hall of really good. It's Hall of Fame. Whenever
Yeah.
somebody doesn't make it, like it's probably why Julian Edelman may never get in, like because he just doesn't have. There's some certain stats you have to have outside of just winning Super Bowls in the NFL, and it'll become a thing with league too. Like there's certain stuff you got to do that just winning worlds right for Barrel isn't probably going to be enough to
No.
put him in there. But especially on two different teams, like completely different rosters, this just won't be enough. And it kind of makes you sit there and go, okay, like the fact that we're only doing one a year, now you really got to debate somebody. You really got to think about it. And it's not an issue if, and there's a big if, you continue to tell the stories. And the Hall of Legends is an association that tells the stories of other players. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You don't have to make a skin for 5 people a year.
Yeah.
You can tell the story of 4 of them and make a skin for 1. That's fine. You do the skin and the car thing and everything else in the video for 1. You can make smaller videos for the other 4 and tell a story of League throughout its history. You don't even have to do 4. Like you could do 2 guys probably a year and tell the story of League really well. And I don't know where you would put them.
That's the
Maybe in
problem.
like I don't know what they do now. I will say like them making it so that you can be an active player. I thought
It
really,
affects
really makes it awkward.
it does because it changes the perception very quickly. And like I
Yeah.
can't say I agree with your take on that one. I don't think like if you're in my eyes, if you were going to do a tradition for somebody in the Hall of Legends, everybody within the Hall of Legends should be treated equally in regards to like their class. And if you want to separate out like the player class and like the broadcast and entertainment crew, then fine, because you obviously don't need to make a skin for
Yeah.
Captain Flowers, even though would it be cool to see a Skarner skin for him? Yeah, obviously. But
Mhm.
like I don't think they would do that for broadcast personalities. Instead, maybe you give them a voiceover on the map, or like you give them something else that we can commemorate them in that way. But like it you set a standard that is for each and every category. And for players, the standard
Mhm.
now is at least 1, maybe 2 skins when you get inducted, and an
Yeah.
entire event dedicated to your individual being in League of Legends. That
Mhm.
is like, I don't know how to put into words how much bigger that is than any other sport that exists. Like, great, you get in Canton, Ohio, like you get your bus there. I'm not sure where every other Hall of Fame is, but like it's great by all means that like you have these ceremonies and these bigger than life things. Bro, each player's getting a fucking movie about themselves. They're getting a Mercedes Benz, which granted, if you won the Heisman, you get a Nissan anyway. So, we're a little bit behind the ball there, but we're catching up, luckily. But just the standard is so high that I think if you induct multiple people in now each year, you wouldn't be able to put that same quality that goes into that singular person the right way each time.
Yeah, and what you said is true. I agree with it because I didn't mean like the other guy should be in the Hall of Legends or anything. I meant like just for storytelling purposes alone. Like make a video on other players, tell their story, but they're never going to touch the Hall of Legends. They don't get skins, they don't get. I didn't even think to give them voiceovers.
I mean,
I
the
just
thing though is
meant,
they could be one day, because in theory, like for
yeah,
using your barrel case, there's a chance that we don't like at some point. This is kind of doomer
that's
to think
true.
about, but like there's a chance that you don't get players that ever live up to that stature ever again. And eventually Beryl does find his way in. It might be 15, 20 years from now, but there could be a chance in theory.
Yeah, I mean that's true. There could always be a chance somebody does, but like
The game will probably
you
die if
could
it gets to that
tell
point. Yeah.
you could tell like a good example would be Xpeke. Like I'm saying the Hall of Legends crew doesn't make a movie on him. Just make a 20-minute like LCS drive video
Sure.
on Xpeke. I'm sure all these are going on just the LoL Esports channel. So just put that in its own little thing and tell the story of League. Because I'm trying to give people who I guess want stories to be told and are worried about one player a year the opportunity to have those stories and that history told. Because that will be a problem at some point, is that if you do one just one player a year, and you never tell anybody else's
Yeah.
story, like you never know about the history of certain guys.
I mean, but they already do that to a certain extent, especially around
They do.
World's time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you remember, like a great example of exactly what you're saying is that Prey will likely never get recognition in terms of his League of Legends career. But
True.
there will always be one play that we know Prey for until the end of time. And they've already done a 20-minute video on that moment that kind of goes over everything. I think it was 2019 Worlds. They did like that whole mural that had like a bunch of different plays on it, and they gave each individual play like a 15 or 20-minute video and like talked
Mhm.
about the moment leading up to it, that moment itself, the team's thoughts, the other team's thoughts. Like that's
Sure.
exactly basically what you're saying. So I think like that, like using Worlds as a catalyst for that, I think is going to be more important than necessarily like using the Hall of Legends to piggyback off of that. But I do agree with the concept of what you're saying.
Yeah, and then you're right. Like worlds would be where you can tell the world stories, and then let the leagues tell the stories of their guys. Like Expect is probably something the LEC needs to tell the story of, not
Well,
the world or the
what
whole
stage was
legends.
his backdoor on? Was that LEC finals?
IEM. It was
Oh,
an
that was
IEM.
yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah, that
makes it
was
tougher.
way back. So it would be I don't even know. That would really just be LEC, like EULCS history. But that's a good point. Those are better places to tell the stories and probably make more sense and mean more to that audience too.
Yeah.
Like telling it during that time. Because it is gonna be, I don't know, there's gonna be some growing for sure for a lot of people getting used to one person a year. There's gonna be a lot of players who probably people think deserve to be on there that aren't gonna make the cut if they keep it to one a year.
Okay, so let's play this out. Next, give me through 2030.
Oh man, 2030 of players.
Yeah, and there's a reason why
Gee.
I'm asking this, but I'll reveal it after I.
I mean, I would have to go through a lot of lists and world's titles, but I think you could reasonably argue what Bangy for one of them.
I would agree.
You could argue Uzi for one of them just because of his impact, but winning would be tough, and it really depends on how. Like we were talking about, I really do think Bangy or Uzi they're gonna keep pushing back because I think they're watching pace in his career,
Yeah, but
which
I think Uzi
sounds
still gets
silly.
in before Pays. Like I hope
He should.
I
Yeah,
hope they generally agree that like Faker is the one exception to the live player rule. I hope that's the case. Because otherwise,
true.
like in my mind, it goes Uzi, Bangy. I think I don't.
Oh, if they're are they not doing if they're not doing active players, I was gonna say my third is either Rookie or Ruler.
I mean, if they retire, like if Ruler or Rookie retire in the next 2 to 3 years, they'll get it before 2030. But I think there's a very good argument that Cap should be inducted by 2030 within the next 6 years. In terms of like most influential players in the world, Caps has to be there. And I know he only has an MSI
Yeah.
title, but I think you have to factor in at least like one tenth of a percentage, or like you got to factor it in somewhere that like he's making the most out of a shit region relative to the LPL and LCK. His chances to win are slim to none,
Um,
but yeah, he's still keeping up with some of the best players in the world. Like,
he's he's also just in if Uzi's in.
yeah, if Uzi's
Like
in,
that's
he
not an
has to be
argument.
in. Like
Like
that should be pretty common
that's not
sense.
even an argument. Like he's in if Uzi is. He's made it farther than Uzi. Well, not farther, but they have the same world's problems, right?
Has he made it
They've
farther?
both
Has
lost.
Uzi ever made a World's
No,
Finals?
Uzi made a world finals.
Oh, he did.
He
Which one?
like solo carried RNG to world's finals and lost to Faker
Oh yeah,
way early on back in the day. But Caps has made what 2 world's finals?
yeah. Back to back
Lost
World's
both.
Finals.
He's won an MSI Like,
Oh, damn it. Uzi made back-to-back finals in 2013-24. Okay, so case in point is that if
yeah,
Uzi makes it
Uzi doesn't have
into
a better.
Hall of Legends, then Caps has to make it in. Has to.
Has to. Because Uzi hasn't done anything Caps hasn't done other than win LPL. And you can't convince me if you left Caps in LPL
That he
he
wouldn't
couldn't
eventually win? Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, he'd eventually win. And I mean, they have the same accolades. So they would both have to get in. I think Ruler deserves a spot just because Ruler has done some like crazy things, and also like the whole like Faker resurgency story arc doesn't happen unless you have Ruler happening kind of on the other side, you know? And then like I think he deserves one. I think there'll be a point where Chovy's gonna get a spot, and it's gonna be just inarguable. Like you're gonna have to give him one. And who else could you give a slot to?
I just
I
want to
mean,
address the comment in chat about perks. Look, if you're going
no,
by pure accolades, then yeah, technically perks should get there. But there's a reason why there's factors outside of that, including your impact on the meta, impact on your role. There's no denying that Caps has been the best mid laner in the world. There's a reason why perks switched to ADC and why the roster of G2 was better with him at ADC than Caps at ADC, like when they were swapping. And Caps' longevity since that point is way higher than Perks. Caps has been on top so much longer than Perks, despite Perks having the accolades to obviously, back it up. It's one of those, like, when you pit the two against each other, like, it's pretty night and day that it's Caps over Perks.
yeah, and I mean a guy like Viper too, I think is gonna get a nod at some point. The Shy could get a nod. Like there's a lot of people who can get a nod.
Impact?
And Impact maybe. I
He's
mean
got
he
a
does
world's
have a world
title. He's got a world's title and a MSI final.
Yeah, I mean I know people will hate to hear it, but him or Core JJ probably do have the best chance of an NA player because
Oh,
of
that's a good question of
longevity there
who's got.
and a world's title. Like
Oh man,
Impact does have like a stupid amount of LCS titles too.
that's
Like,
the thing. I think the LCS
yeah,
titles
dumb
for
amount.
Impact would put him over Core JJ.
Yeah, he just has a dumb amount. Like it's a stupid amount. But it really is tough of like, and the thing is, I will give them this, and this is why I like one person going in, even though some people hate it. This is great, like what is it? Conversation starter.
Oh, absolutely.
Like this is what you want it to do.
Yep.
You want it to keep conversations going, and now people are going to do this a lot. And I kind of like current players being able to get into now, only because, or at least they have to stay consistent, so they have to keep doing it. Because now we can sit here and literally make the argument: are we watching the next like Faker? Like the next guy to do this is going to be compared to Faker.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I know I'm making this up, and we've been using this guy a lot, but Pays is like the only guy we have, right?
Yep.
Like he really is the only guy on this trajectory, maybe Chovy. But if Pays like wins, like what, 3 worlds? And
Not even 3. I think if he does 2. If he wins 2 worlds in the Golden Road, he's done something that Faker's never done. And already, I think you're at a category that you can put him in.
Yeah.
In theory.
But also, it's like if he has 3 worlds and 3 MSIs, which Faker has 4 worlds and 2 MSIs, like is that enough to start making the conversation? This guy is getting there close, and let's say at that point he's 23. That means he probably nowadays has a good 5 years left to try and get one.
Yeah,
like that is one of those things where you gotta lean back, look at it from the outside. And people are gonna hate it, Everybody in our generation is gonna hate it. They're gonna be like, Pays isn't the guy leading his team. He's not the leader. This shouldn't count. Pays is a fraud. He's getting carried by Chovy. This ain't right. You're gonna hear all of that. But you know what the problem is? He hasn't lost an LCK final since he showed up.
that's
that's a mic drop.
And I there's gonna be people who be like, oh, you need to do it without Chovy. You need to do it without this. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think you got to prove fucking anything to anybody. I think you just keep winning.
Yeah. If you win like winning solves all problems. I've said that for a while, and it works for a lot of people. Like, they're gonna call him a passenger. Like, even in the comments now, they're calling him a passenger. Like,
Yep.
they're calling him a passenger princess. They're gonna say he got rode and all this. He got carried. Like, that's fair. You can think what you want,
Yep.
but there's gonna be 13-year-olds who look at us and say, "Shut up, old man.
Yep.
Hayes is the future. He's the GOAT." And we're gonna have to sit there and go, "Bro, you didn't see Faker in his prime." And they're gonna say, 7 years without a ring, is that a prime? That's what they're gonna tell you. You know what you're gonna have to look at them and say? It was 7 years, but the build up to the second win was really, really cool. To his fourth title, that was sick. You guys didn't get to see the build up, and they're gonna be like 7 years, got
Yep.
carried by his roster. He had Zeus, Owner, Kiria, and Gumayushi.
Yep.
Like, he got carried, and they're all gonna say that, and we're gonna be like, yeah, but when Faker went out with his wrist injury, they lost. They lost to like the last place team, so he carried him. And that's literally going to be future talks.
Oh, I know.
All because they did this Hall of Legends thing, and current players can get accepted in, which at first I hated, but now I'm starting to realize that's good marketing.
It's
That is
fantastic
very
marketing.
good marketing.
I hate it, but it's fantastic marketing.
Mhm.
Because now, like, the Chovy versus Faker narrative just. The second Chovy wins
Oh,
a
yeah.
Worlds, the second he wins a Worlds, that conversation just takes off.
Oh,
It takes off so quick because Chovy is like the best mid laner in the world, bar none. And like he's on, I wouldn't say he's like dominating the level or dominating at the level that Faker was, but like the game has gotten a lot different and a lot better over time. Like it's gonna be like the, you know, who was playing against plumbers back in the day versus who's playing against kids who have, you know, spent their entire life in PC bangs, you know, waiting for this moment to challenge
yeah.
the cream of the crop. Like we're getting into that territory and I freaking love it.
Yeah, you're going to have quite a lot of people if Chovy wins. Like, I would say if Chovy gets the 3, right, with the Golden Road,
Yeah.
like 3 Worlds with the Golden Road, and it maybe takes him a few more years to get another win, like, he's probably caught up to Faker at that point mentally for people. Because I mean, like, I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves saying like he could win 4, but I mean, Faker did it, so I'm pretty sure Chovy could too. The only thing is that Faker did it early on, right? So people thought it was really cool, and then Faker stuck around for a while and got talked about a lot.
Yep.
And now he's at the point where he didn't win in so long, and he finally won again, so he rose back up. But Chovy, like, could actually just win like 4 straight or something, or win 2 now, 2 later, and he gets to the same number around the same age. You're gonna have everybody doing the same exact stuff. Call him a dog.
Or I mean, like you're starting to get into golf now. Like I wish that sports media was around when Tiger was taking off. Because
Yeah.
try and put yourself back in like 2000s conversation. Tiger Woods had won the 1997 Masters, didn't win anything again until he shows up at the US Open, but is like still one of the more dominant golfers. And he rattles off 4 back to back, like 4 majors back to back. In the same way that majors are more comparable to international tournaments. Chovy finally won 1, so you would think like this might be the tipping point for him to win more. But domestic titles, he's got a bunch of them. Like, if you think that people back then were not comparing Tiger to Jack Nicklaus, despite Jack
Yeah.
Nicklaus being, 15, 16 majors ahead of him, you're wrong. Like they 100% were. So it's like,
Yep.
we should be having these conversations because it sets up the expectation now. Because the reality is that where else is there for Chovy to go upward other than to challenge Faker?
No, yeah.
Once he wins
That's
Worlds, that's it. Like the only thing that's set there that is left for him, in theory, is to challenge Faker.
Yeah. Also, I had to go back and look because I was like, I don't remember him being a passenger princess. Let me remind you all, Pays had a 28 kill game in MSI finals.
People are gonna say that was because of Lehan's Blitzcrank.
Yeah, they can say that all they want, but you gotta sit here and realize, like, 28 kill games aren't a mistake, my friends. That's not a guy who's messing up. Like, you can say he got carried all he wants. Like, you gotta be kidding me, bro. This kid's 18 years old playing, like, BLG, who is pretty cracked. The only thing BLG did was upgrade at mid this offseason. And this dude went in there and dropped a 28 kill game to get told that he gets carried by everybody else.
Yep.
Like, that's whack. But whatever. That's fair. Fine. And it is true. Chovy and Faker are going to be the argument. Because if we're being real, mid lane is always going to be the most hyped lane. Always. It doesn't matter. Like, I love Ruler to my absolute core. I'm so in on Ruler all the time. It will not matter to people. They will always care more about the mid laner. And that's just life. Like, it's just how it is. I mean, even like, you got to look at LCS. That's the easiest argument that ADC does not matter as much to people as mid lane, because Double Lift, like, easily would be the #1 NA player ever remembered.
Should be.
If he was a mid laner.
And I mean, to be fair, he still is. Like he is number one on the LCS Mount Rushmore, but he would be so much higher if he was a mid laner.
Yeah, people debate him and Bjerg all the time. There would be no debate if he was a mid laner.
Yep.
Like, there
if
just
he had
wouldn't be.
those accolades as a mid laner, people wouldn't even be talking.
Yeah, there wouldn't even be a conversation.
It's like, wild to me. I saw somebody had a Twitter poll the other day. I'm glad I can't mention it. Somebody said it on Twitter the other day, like, who's the face of NA? Is it Bjerg? Or who's the best player ever to play in North America? Is it Bjerg or Double? And Bjergsen was winning the poll. I was like, what the fuck are you on?
Yeah.
What, like, legitimately, what are you on? Double Lift is the best North American player that has ever done it. And it's not even close. And a native, not like LCS player all time. Because arguably Impact would be like greatest player to have ever played in the LCS would technically be Impact. But greatest North American player themselves is Double Lift.
Yeah. And it's like, it's crazy to me, bro. ADC just doesn't have the same ring to it, I guess. I mean, honestly, I could see them putting in junglers before ADCs.
Maybe.
People hype up junglers too a lot.
Gotcha said Double said Bjergsen was always his leader and the best player in the league. Like, yeah, but what about the 4 titles that were won on Double Lift's shoulders after he left Bjergsen? Like, you can say that Bjergsen was the leader during that time, sure, but like, Double Lift then went on to do something that Bjergsen was never able to do and was chasing the entire time. And I mean, I get that, like, it was 100% BB and Spica that carried them to that title, but he still didn't get it back until Double Lift came back on that team. Like, the argument to me is, like, pretty night and day. Like, you can say that was Impact shoulders, sure, and I know it's more of a joke than anything because Impact was on that squad all 4 years, but nah, dude, think about who was the second best ADC during that period. Sneaky. No, Sneaky, 100%. And Sneaky was nowhere close to Double Lift.
Yeah.
Nowhere close.
I mean, we decided to get rid of Double Lift and go all in on winning worlds with Acadian, so there's that.
Yeah.
And Grig.
That's our Mayo now. Thank you very much. Your Immortals and possibly TSM jungler. It might go back full circle.
That was what my team did. I don't know. So, yep. There's that. But it's like, you can't. Yeah, I really don't know, bro. You can't, like, arrow one MVP.
MVP is a regular season award. I'm sorry, but, like, especially
MVP is not a
No, like MVP is a great award, and sure, in theory, it should mean something. But the truth is, MVP is just like a storyline award. In theory,
He's
it.
saying that ADC is like a random ADC won MVPs, so ADCs do get some love.
I
But
mean,
I'm
they
meaning like
do,
on a
but like,
holistic
what happened in that playoffs?
sense.
What happened during that playoffs that era won MVP?
I don't remember, bro. I don't remember that year like you do.
You guys won that. What do you mean? You won the title.
We won a lot of titles, man. Hard to remember them all.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I know.
You fucking asshole. Jesus Christ. You jerk.
I thought that was funny.
It was so good that like I didn't know what to say. Like that pisses me off that I gave you that one.
But in general, I think for Hall of Legends, like I think it's gonna be easier for a mid laner to get it.
Yeah.
Like I know Paze's story also doesn't help him. I get it. He walked into a good situation. But I also think it's gonna be tough for like Guma to get into at some point. I don't think Guma's just gonna get to waltz in because people are gonna say the same thing about Guma that they're saying about Paze, you know? He rode the coattails of blah blah blah. He did blah blah blah. Like it's tough. And then honestly, let's say in this world that we're creating, that like Genji keeps this core roster around of Canyon, like Jovi, FaZe Hens, at least, and maybe Keen stays too. But LCK goes through a lot of top laners. Let's say they keep that core around. Like, there's a point where Canyon is also like has to be put in. If that kind of dynasty happens, like Canyon will always have one more than all of them.
Yeah.
So there would be a point where they have to also look at him and go, dang, like this is really like the best jungler that's ever played.
I mean, people want to talk about Showmaker when it comes to that 2020 Damwon roster, but like if Canyon keeps this up, and we've seen how Showmaker has fallen off, like it will basically rewrite history. Like as good as Showmaker was, like people will look back on it and be like,
sure.
Damn, that was really the start of the Canyon era, wasn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Kobe, I mean, it'll literally be the Kobe Shaq thing.
Yeah.
All over again, where Shaq won all the finals MVPs, like was curb stomping everybody, but then Shaq left. Kobe won a couple more. So everybody pretends like Kobe carried all those finals. Right? They don't act like Shaq averaged 30 a game. But people are gonna do the same thing Showmaker. They're gonna be like, he wasn't really that good. You're right. Like they're gonna be like,
yep.
Canyon was kind of
there.
Like, so
he popped off for a year, but like Canyon, Canyon was the real guy from that squad.
Yeah, he had Canyon. Like, how could you not win?
But he also had Barrel.
Yeah, and like Nuguri, like probably one of the greatest tops we've ever seen in our life.
That's That's a great question. Who's gonna be the first top laner to get in?
That's really tough. I don't know, dude. Like, I actually don't know because there's so many tops you could try to sneak in there. Like, I also like maybe the Shy.
It might have to be the Shy.
Like, he's pretty iconic. I don't know who's more iconic.
The Shy has a Worlds title, two Worlds Finals appearances.
Mm-hmm.
How many do Khan and Smeb have?
Do either of them even have one?
I have no. That's like right before my time in League, so I don't know.
I don't think either of them have one. Yeah, they don't. Okay.
Neither one has. Wait, yeah, Khan won 2021, didn't he?
Oh, Khan does have one.
Wait, no, that was the EG. That was the EDG one where they lost 3-2. Because that was the whole narrative of like people were going to be really happy if Damwon won. No. So in theory, the Shy is a top laner who has won Worlds, appeared in finals twice, and completely transformed the way people look at top lane.
Yeah.
Like has there ever been a top laner that it was more feared in their prime than the Shy?
Newbury. But he doesn't count because he quit so early. He'll never get in. So yeah,
No, he won't.
The Shy. I think it has to be him. And yeah, he was the like only guy standing up to him. Yeah, Flame. That's a good point, Khan says, but he's so back in the weeds. But I remember when it was like a big deal to play Flame. Like, I mean, bro, getting 100 CS above your laner is nicknamed after him. Getting Flame
Flame
Horizons, that's
Horizon, yeah.
because of him. Like, but
Okay,
it's
well,
difficult. I mean,
here's one for you. Who gets in shot the Shy versus Impact? Is it the Shy?
yeah, probably. Yeah,
Because Impact has
because
a world's title. Impact has an MSI final.
I think LCS is to hold you back.
Yeah,
I think it really hurts you.
I agree. I wanted to put the direct head to head out there.
Yeah, because I was saying, who was it to? I said it earlier in the Discord, how like there's gonna be a real time where people like I think Easterners make the argument and probably overpower the West on the narrative that Showmaker has a Worlds and LCK titles, and those mean more than LEC and MSI titles for Caps.
Yeah, but I think Caps define things a little bit more.
He should, but I could see people really trying to push.
I
Like,
mean, it
in
depends
our
on.
eyes, right? He does, but you never know. Like, there's a lot more Easterners.
It's funny because I
No
feel
lie.
like here's the thing. We say this, but I feel like this is always the case when it comes to voting. In votes, you would be surprised how like Easterners might vote for Caps more because we are going to be more harsh on him because he's our guy. You
True.
tend to be more harsh on the people that are yours and are closest to you than you are everybody else. You tend to give praise like Faker, the Chinese and Korean players. We will always tend to be a little bit more than that. Somebody ban movable rose,
Yeah, he's gone.
but
He tried.
good try there, buddy. I don't know. It's a really interesting.
It's a tough argument because in realistically, I think when you go over the impact they had on the game, Caps should be in.
Yeah.
Because if you want to tell the story, like really it's about NFL says this a lot. Like the Hall of Fame is about can you tell the story of the NFL without this player? No. Then you put them in the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. That's a big thing. And I think you can't tell the story of League of Legends without Caps.
Agreed.
Like it would be almost impossible. You'd have to ignore the whole West to not tell the story of League without Caps. I would honestly say the same for Double Lift. But
Yeah,
I think Double Lift had a
that's
massive
where
impact.
Double Lift is going to have a narrative buff, like an
Yeah.
extreme narrative buff.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to tell the story of the game without it. But I mean, there's a lot of guys who you remember their name, like people are saying in chat, and it's gonna be hard to tell the story of League without them. But I think that some of them it's just gonna be and is what it is. Like it would be very difficult, tell the story of League without, as they said in chat, the Moscow Five, but I can do it. I can tell you the story of League without it, probably. And
to the points about Insect, Mad Life, and Captain Jack, whether people like it or not, there's a political element to this. That is like if you keep your name prevalent around League of Legends well after you are done playing, you automatically kind of bolster your chances. So like honestly, as wild as this is to say, I see somebody like Double Lift getting in before Insect. Probably not Mad Life. I think Mad Life is like up there to the point where like that's a different story. Captain Jack, don't think so, but like I would put Double Lift up there. Because you're jockeying public opinion and you're able to vouch for yourself in a way that like these players that aren't around and don't have a social media presence and aren't on broadcast and aren't doing these things, like they can't defend themselves or hype themselves up in any way. And the unfortunate reality is, there's the phrase of you die twice. Uh, the first time when you actually leave, and then the second time when the last person ever mentions your name. And the truth is, Doublelift's name will be around so much longer than Insect, Mad Life, or Captain Jack's. That's just the
Yeah.
truth. So
Yeah, I mean that's fair. And I think there is a real world where like Caps is gonna be behind Xiaohu, I'd say. Like,
yeah, probably.
because he has so many MSIs and he's done pretty good at worlds in his career. Like, he's done good enough that he's worth talking about, you know what I mean? Which I
Yeah.
think is fair. And he's won LPL a lot. So I think it would be tough to tell the story of League without Xiaohu. But I mean, it's difficult because you're talking about like really small things that separate these guys. Like Xiaohu still right now is ahead of Chovy.
Yeah.
Like he is, and Xiaohu has a chance still, even though it's probably slim to none. He has a chance to win Worlds until Worlds is over, you know. So he wins one Worlds, all of a sudden, it's another year that we're waiting to see if Chovy can jump him, you know? Like, there's so much stuff that can shift. And we've seen crazier now with DRX winning Worlds. Like, wild things can happen, man. I mean, wild things. Like, let's say the DRX, who's that mid laner? Zeka?
Zeka, yeah.
Zeka? Zeka, yeah, he played. Let's say they play up, dude. I don't know who he's playing for. I think it's Halma Life.
Halma Life. Yep.
Like, if he plays up this split and he goes on another one of those tears and he wins another Worlds, like, we're having crazy conversations.
Yep.
Wild conversations, like uncomfortable conversations about where this man stands
Yep.
in the mid laner talent line. All of a sudden, he could be the second best mid ever because he's just gone on 2 huge runs. Like, that's how wild talking about a Hall of Fame is. And that's why Hall of Legends is so interesting. And I'm kind of glad they brought it out.
Same.
And we get to talk about it because it's like things can change so fast in a narrative. Like, it's insane. I mean, granted, if things go the way they probably will, like Genji should win. Honestly, Golden Road. Like, I think they have a really easy shot of doing it. The fact that they're now playing better, I think they're really smart at the game. There's not many people who can outsmart them. I don't know if there's anybody who can out hands them. And the only thing that could be done to them is maybe outclutch them. Like a team could outclutch them at some point. And when you start saying things like that, that's where in my head I'm getting this Zeka thing, you know, like
Yep.
let's say this he decides to go on another run. Things get wild. He's playing insane. And sometimes Riot does weird things with the patches before Worlds, and certain roles are just, you know, overbearingly strong.
It's also not just that. It's like now, like whether we do this intentionally or not, which I know some sports and some people do, Genji now have painted a target on their back. Like, even though they were a favorite going into MSI, like the thing was you weren't watching every single Gen G game with like a fine-tooth comb or like a microscope to like try and see every individual little thing that they do to try and get an advantage on them.
Yep.
Now, every team around the world is going to be watching Gen G's games, trying to study the littlest things that each individual player does. Which means that, like, when Gen G goes up against somebody at Worlds, it's not just that team was, like, teams can say, like, oh, we're practicing general philosophies. It's like, bullshit. You're studying Gen G tape more than you're studying anybody else's. You are prepping the entire rest of summer and Worlds to beat Gen G.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, everybody is prepping for that moment. Every top team is thinking in their head, we're probably going to have to face Gen G at some point. How the fuck do we beat them?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody, odds are in history, because a Golden Road has never been done, odds are somebody's going to figure out a way.
Yeah.
We don't know what that is yet, but odds are somebody will do it.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. Like, thinking about it, there is odds are somebody does it, and whoever does it, like, it does just like it throws a wrench in everything.
Yep.
Whoever you thought was the guy is now behind this guy, this random guy who does it. Now, I mean, this year would have to be Chovy and this Gen G lineup because that's how it is now. It's literally just them. But they, it's tough because I'm telling you, dude, it's gonna be so awkward if they win because Hayes is gonna be making things uncomfortable for people.
So is Chovy.
They're gonna be hyping up Chovy, and there's gonna be a lot of talk about how Chovy is the best ever. But
But you still
I
can't put him
don't
in
know.
yet. You can't put him in yet. I don't think that, like, the only time I think we start having that conversation is if Chovy wins the next 2 back-to-back. Then I think you look at 2026 and be like, yeah, we kind of got to do it. We kind of have to put him in there.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice. Like, you've kind of made your bed that, like, you're putting players with that level of hype in there, and, like, it's undisputed at that point that Chovy's at that level. And it's like, but he's got to win the next 2 back-to-back. If he doesn't win the next 2 back-to-back, I think there's plenty of other people that we can put in first.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, you can't put him in for a while. If he wins this one, wins the next one, you can put Chovy in. Maybe. I think Chovy in general has so much what's it called? Like, time, and that's like gonna be a real thing to watch because Chovy could end up passing Faker at some point realistically. I know they're saying Zeka could never make it, but you say that until the day, I'm telling you something crazy happens and that man wins another Worlds and you're staring down the barrel of an awkward conversation you have to make. Like, that's the whole point though of a Hall of Legends, is that things, like, really quickly things can change. Like, it's super insane.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I mean, it's really tough because, I mean, looking at it too, there's another thing of if Zeka did win, right, he's on Viper's team, so that also puts Viper in
Oh my
that kind of
God.
talk
Jesus Christ.
of the best, like, ADC ever. You know what I mean?
All right, we're going really far down the rabbit hole now of hypotheticals.
Viper is, like, actually has a Worlds.
Does he? With who?
Yeah, Viper won with EDG.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, that's
Oh
not
man.
even being a capper. Like, Viper has a Worlds.
Oh man. Okay, no, we got other things we need to talk about. We gotta stop going down these hypotheticals, or we will be here
it's fine.
literally all day.
Sure, you make the votes after the tourneys, anyways.
Yeah. If APA Worlds and retires, does he get it before done?
I mean, dog. If
Yes.
you're the guy who wins
Yes,
Worlds,
if you're the North American guy that
NA,
wins Worlds,
yeah.
you're getting in.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. This is the great part. If any player from North America or Europe wins Worlds, it only takes 1 Worlds for them, and they're automatically in the Hall of Legends.
Yep.
Doesn't matter who it is. All they got to do is win 1 from NA, and it's the bit, like, you are immediately there. Like, you overcame the biggest odds possible to win the biggest tournament in the world. You are getting in first ballot, no questions asked. And not a single person, Season 1 Fnatic does not count, not a single person would contest that whatsoever.
And watch it be the mid laner.
Yep.
Going right back to
that's why APA was the question, because it's always the mid laner.
Yep.
Oh, God. Anyway, so I think to address the title of the stream real quick, do you think this has the potential to be the biggest League of Legends event that's ever been in the game besides KDA? I think KDA was, like, still the one of the highest selling skin lines at the time. But do you think like Faker skin and combined with this in-game event, does this have the potential to be the biggest event ever in League of Legends in terms of like skin sales?
Yeah, I think in participation it does. In skin sales participation in the event and like hype around it, I think it's gonna be massive. Like it's gonna be huge. How much has that trailer been watched so far?
I don't know. The trailer probably not all that much. It's not the same as a music video. Like KDA will
Is it a
always.
music video they're doing?
No, 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 no. I'm
Okay.
comparing it to KDA because KDA was probably, I'd imagine, like the most popular event that League has ever had, if I had to
Yes.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the question is, can Faker's Ari skin outsell any other individual skin in the history of League of Legends? My answer would probably be yeah.
I think so. I think it can 100%. Like obviously the however long movie documentary thing isn't gonna beat the what is it 500 something 597 million music video of KDA like
Let
that
alone the
just
Spotify streams. Like,
yeah that thing caught fire. I mean it just did, and when things catch fire they just stay up there. But I think in game you're gonna see a lot of people want to be a part of this,
oh, 100%.
and there's gonna be a lot more involvement because out of the KDA stuff I know it sold really well and all that, but a lot of those views might not have been people who even play or would buy a skin.
Yeah.
Everybody who's watching this cares about Faker.
Yep. Your conversion rate is going to be absurdly high on this.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I will. I guess. Well, the arcane skins are free, so the arcane skins probably don't really count. We got if they were to release a paid arcane skin, which I don't think they would ever do. Uh, I feel like that might top it. But real quick, touching on arcane. So I've been kind of on an arcane binge over the last 3 days. I don't know why a video popped up like somebody reacting to the show for the first time, so I got like right back into that bubble as we begin to prep for it. And I was watching the Bridging the Rift series, which is like the behind the scenes documentary of like the 6 years that it took for them to make season 1, and they start talking about like season 2. I forgot how explicit they were with like, yeah, season 2 is gonna wrap up Piltover and Zaun, and then we're expanding elsewhere.
Oh.
Like they explicitly said that in the series, and we're like, yeah, the ending of season 2 is really fucked up. But beyond that, like, yeah, they show a map or like the map of Runeterra, and they like focus in on Piltover and Zaun, and then they expand elsewhere, and they're like, we can't wait to tell these other stories as well. It's like, bro, we're gonna be here for
Yeah.
so long. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, if anything happens, League of Legends may die, but the show will keep going.
Well, it's amazing because Mbessa Medarda is coming to the game at the end of the year.
What is?
Mel's mom from Arcane. Mbessa Medarda.
Oh.
She's going to be a champion in League of Legends at the end of this year.
Oh, okay.
Which makes me think
Okay.
they're setting up to go to Noxus in season 3.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if they did. I mean,
Maybe we
But-
redo Ruin Nation. No, we don't redo it.
that'd be really cool though for them to go over to Noxus and Demacia, just have a pure like medieval battle
Oh, dude,
series.
just
Go live action.
go live action, go full Game of Thrones with
Yeah.
Demacia.
Go
Oh,
full
dude.
Game of Thrones and Vikings with it.
Oh,
Like get really gnarly.
I can't wait to see what they do. Like long
yeah.
term with this IP, it's gonna be great. You know who doesn't do things long term though?
Who?
Dignitas.
Okay. I guess we do have to talk about this.
We kind of do. We're already an hour and 9 minutes in. We kind of have to talk
Yeah.
about Dignitas.
I'm gonna keep it real. I don't care. I'm in that small group that does not care.
Really?
Like, I think it sucks for them all. I think it's tough, but if I'm being honest, like, Rut League has always been this way. I wish it was better, right? But do you really think there's ever going to be a day where these teams go and tell a player we're looking to replace you right now and openly say it? Like, if he gets screwed over, it's scummy business. And scummy business is scummy business. Like, it doesn't make me like him. But it's like, there's no, yeah, as Rico's saying, there's no player association. There's nothing protecting these guys. It's like, I can't be bothered to keep getting mad at the stuff that just keeps happening over and over again.
Yep.
And also, a lot of people are probably happy to have Speak back. And
I'll say the thing that people are fucking scared to say. Speak is an upgrade over XU.
Yeah,
he is. He is. Like 100% he is. Regardless of what happened on FlyQuest.
I also have a problem with the fact, and this is what made me not care the most. People are mad about the Speaka thing, right? He's 10 months older than this guy, and they're mainly mad about the way it was handled. But nobody cared when they brought in Sven, who's 3 years older than the guys replacing. Like, Rich is old. So there's no issue with getting rid of Rich. He's pretty old. Him and Licorice are the same age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like that's not an issue. But they clearly were going older with this roster. Like, and they wanted veterans. I think it would make sense in your head to say they want one young guy around. And most rosters you would think would do that. You know, keep a young guy to see if he grows and keep him cheap. But their teams are always going to do this. And it's because Dig wants to win right now. And these guys bring in more viewers, for being honest.
Here's what I would do. Here's the change that I would make that I think would solve everything. Because there's a poaching rule for players, right? Like, you can't go outside of your contract, or like you can't talk to other teams to try and like basically like micromanage roster mania moves without letting the team know so that they can shop you around, do all this. I personally believe that you should have a clause in all contracts stating that if you entertain a conversation as an organization with another player that is in your role, you should be required to disclose that to the player.
Yeah.
Because if the player has to go through the organization to be able to talk to other teams and other players in the case that they might get dropped and the organization controls everything, why not put in the reverse? If a team talks to another player, they should be required to let their current existing player that, hey, we had a conversation with this person. Doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere, but we had a conversation. And that can then tip the player off to be like, okay, well, you know, either they can get cocky and be like, okay, I'm safe with my role here, or they can come out and say, hey, I want to be able to talk to other people too.
And I mean, that's the point of a players' association.
Well, I mean, the Players Association is fucking irrelevant until they unionize. And if the players don't unionize, then there's nothing they're going to do. And the Players Association has already said they've put articles in front of all the players to try and get them to take the steps to unionize, and they haven't done it. So, like, anybody crying for the Players Association is like, oh, that's what the Players Association's going to do. I saw Rico doing it earlier, and I'm just going to tell you now, Rico, it's not the fucking Players Association. It's the players. The players have not taken the steps that they need to take in order to properly protect themselves. They have nobody but themselves to blame when shit like this happens. I'm sorry, but they don't. Because what I just said, like my take right there, should be common fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if poaching rules are already in place for the players, okay, well, now what? You've cucked yourself as a player.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot I can even add to that because that's just how it is. Like, it's the players need to actually band together, get an association going or some sort of union, and they need to actually put in the due diligence during the off season to do the veterans need to do the adulting.
Yeah.
Right. And they need to do something that's good for the younger guys, which I know
they won't.
Might not be every veteran, but really the veterans should be doing this adulting and getting this out of the way because a lot of them don't care because they're making so much money, some of them, that it doesn't matter for them, and the louder voices aren't going to speak that much because they get paid good and they don't get screwed over like this. And if they do, they just go to Twitter, right? But a guy like XU gets hosed, and they're just sitting there like, what do we do? People are getting mad. Everybody getting mad is still going to be watching LCS. This is why I don't care. And everybody getting mad isn't really putting forth anything, and there's nothing they can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it.
And
This
then they're
is
going to say the
odd.
league is dying. So what's the
Yeah, they're
point?
gonna say the league is dying. Like, the reason I say I don't care, and it sounds harsh, is because really I keep hearing this every year and nothing changes.
Exactly.
Like, what do you want me to do? Keep going? This sucks. Like, I can keep saying that, but it's the same thing as doing thoughts and prayers after. Well, I shouldn't do that again. But it's the same thing as doing thoughts and prayers.
I mean,
Like,
you hate.
don't.
Here's
You
my
hate
thing.
it for him, but there's nothing we can
Near
do.
brings it up in chat that we hate that NA talent is overlooked. What, I'm sorry, but what does that take in this situation? You replaced an NA player with an NA player. Like, I get that. Like,
same age.
I get that XU should be on a team, and in theory, it should be like 2 North American players there, but they're around the same age, and they're North American. They're both North American players. Like, at the end of the day, like, how do I say this without pissing off the fucking NACL scene? Because I feel like everything I say always gets interpreted as either I'm so team biased or I'm something else. Like, I don't want to fucking hear anymore, like, that we're not looking out for North American players, or we're not doing this, and it's on GMs, it's on this. No, it's on the players. It's on the fucking players. You had obnoxious amounts of money, and you were the only ones in this situation who can actually take legal action to impact this. And you've done fucking nothing. It is on you. Teams are going to keep doing this because it's in their best interest to do so. You can sit here and say, oh, I would like for teams to communicate with me, and like, in XU's case, like when 2 weeks ago, apparently it was known that this was going to happen, like let him know 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that, but it happens in every fucking sport. It happens everywhere all the time. And the only protection against it is unions. So the only step that you can take here is to unionize. And you won't do it, so it's on you now. It's not on XU. I don't blame him. I blame everybody else in the chain of command above him. He's new to the league. It's not on him to set that up. It is on everybody that has been in this league for an extended period of time. All the players that came out and said that they were in favor of the walkout last year, that they were all, like, doing all this. Like, where the fuck are you right now? Where is your voice? I haven't seen anybody say shit about it. Not one player have I seen come out and say something. Where are you at? Where's your voice? What the fuck are you doing right now?
Yeah. I mean, that was a very passionate speech about it. That was true. Like, I don't know what else you tell them, because this isn't a thing that, like, as long as your owners can get away with it, they're going to keep doing it. The CEO, you got to remember, works for the owners, like the CEO of the league, the commissioner. Like, Mark, he works for them. So he's not going to sit here and, put in rules and stuff that's going to help players more than owners, because the owners are going to get mad at him.
Yeah.
In a league where owners have already asked to leave.
Yep.
2 of them have asked to leave. He's not going to risk that. So it kind of makes you sit here and go, all right, this is on players to be loud, be vocal. C9, I think they kept Fudge, right? Is he still under contract?
Yeah, he's still under contract for now. That's wild that Fudge isn't going to be in the league as well.
That is. But it's also like one of those, okay, so Fudge is still under contract, so he did his due diligence, I guess. Or C9 is a nice org. Dig obviously doesn't have the money, and he is scummy enough to just kick a kid, regardless, and not tell him. Yep. But it's one of those things where, like, this happens, and the only people saying things are the Reddit threads and the Twitter guys with, no traction.
No.
In the league to make this change.
Nope.
So that puts us right back where you're doing, your speech there.
I
You're
got a little.
impassioned. You're telling
I
them.
got a
You're
little bit.
unloading, and you're just letting them have it. And you know what'll change?
Nothing.
Nothing,
No.
because the players haven't even tried to change it. A lot of them, if we're being honest, a lot of your big names right now in the league are Korean, so they aren't gonna try to change it that much. And a lot of your like, man, I bumped my mic twice. A lot of your freaking American players are chilling, like the ones with a voice. Like, this is something that APA and Yan could have talked about, maybe, or Impact or Core, like, could have made a big change. Anyone on C9 like JoJo could have thrown something out there. Like Vulcan, maybe. He loves the meme. He doesn't love to, I guess, talk about players getting good deals and stuff. Uh, Anybody on FlyQuest could have said anything, but none of these guys are saying nothing about it.
I'm curious. Has the
So
LCSPA said anything about it now? Now that I think about it, because like in theory, there are players on like the LCSPA, so technically a statement from a statement from the LCSPA like also is a statement in coordination with the players as well.
yeah,
Nope, nothing from them.
yeah,
So despite all this outrage, despite what like everybody wants to say or do, we haven't heard a fucking peep from those that actually have the power to change it.
nope. None of the NRG players, all NA talent, not
Now,
a single one.
I
Well, I guess not all NA talent, but
I will say this,
been here a while.
not really, somewhat related to this, but after watching your guys' conversation the other day on Discord of like, who bears responsibility, how would you do it, all this, uh, it made me want to have a conversation about what it's like to be a GM and like get people to understand the day-to-day basis of everything. I have been in contact with Jungle Juice to have a conversation with him and make a video about it.
Nice.
So I'm
That'll be really good.
I'm working on like trying to get a video out, and I'm gonna run my questions by you before I send them to him. But basically, I want people to know like what their job is on a day-to-day basis. I'm not gonna talk about this situation, being honest.
Yep.
Like, cause I don't like. I've already made it clear. What think about what he's gonna say. Like when you ask a question to somebody, you're like, you want to get an answer that is informative in some way. Like if I can sit here and answer every question that I'm going to ask, then there's no point in me asking it.
Yep.
And it's like if I ask about this situation, one, he's not going to be able to say much because it's somebody else. And even if it was his situation, like all he's going to say is that like we're following procedures as they should be done on our end. We try to like I'd imagine like the one extra courtesy step that you could take is like you let players know the second they become available. You go from there. 100 Thieves have had the opposite situation done to them where they've had a player in Bjergsen retire on them in the middle of the year. So like they've been on the flip side of this where he's dealt with it as a GM on the other side. Like there's not much that you're really going to learn from like asking about the situation because the true answer once again goes back to the players have to put in something in the procedures that would require teams to let them know because otherwise teams aren't going to let them know because teams don't want to piss them off knowing that they were going to try and replace them. And if they don't end up replacing them, then hey, roster remains as is and nobody knew the wiser and all of a sudden, you go along ho-hum.
Yep.
And that's going to be the route that teams will take until their hand is forced otherwise. Because that's realistically, like you put yourself in those shoes as well. I guarantee more people would make that choice than not. Now, some people will make the decision to let, XU know like 2 weeks ago when it's like 99% locked. They might let them know then for sure. But Monte Cristo brought up a great point of like, you don't know what changed with Spica's contract. Things could have happened with Spica literally in the last 2 weeks that were not possible prior to that. So they have to make they have to make a last minute move of being like, okay, well, things change. Now do we pull the trigger on it?
Yep.
Possibly. We don't know. Nobody has any clue. The only thing we know is that XU is without a job. Likely.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, also GM can't really answer that too in depth, so I think it's fair to just not make him answer it at all, because like he's not gonna sit there and just absolutely
oh,
dump on his peer who he
no.
may have to do business with
I
if
was
they
gonna
have a player he
say
wants one day.
he might have to negotiate
Yeah,
with him at some point. You got to play the politics and stuff. Like
yeah,
anybody saying like, oh, I wouldn't make friends with somebody like that. It's like when you have to interact with them on a pretty consistent basis as the GM of the league, you're gonna make friends with them. You might hate their guts on the
yeah,
inside. Doesn't matter. You got to play the politics of the situation. Welcome to corporate America.
yeah. They, with 8 teams in the league, they have a large percent of the other players that you could be interested in. So it's kind of a big part of it now.
It's
And
what
it's like,
12.5%.
yeah, something like that. There's seven other teams. So it's like a pretty big tough spot to be in. And you just gotta sit there and think, okay, dude, like we get this sucks for XU. It's not fun, but this is how this business has always been. You need to protect yourself. He's young, and I do think he's young, and he probably got, a bit of predator stuff, like financially and business wise. He got preyed on, which is absolutely terrible. And so you're sitting here going, we need to help the players, educate them when they get in, and help fix these issues. All of that, once again, just falls on former players helping the guys coming in
Yeah.
and building these areas.
And
None of
even
them are doing that.
no, and even
I
then,
mean,
like what? What? Okay, here's my question: what information was XU missing that would have helped him change his outcome in this situation?
yeah, one thing people were saying in Reddit, like had me dead, and we were making fun of it in the Discord, was people saying he needs in his contract that he will be starter all year. And I was
Nobody
like,
fucking gets
nobody's
that.
signing that.
No, the
Nobody's
org's
signing
not
that
offering
contract.
that. Like,
Yeah, nobody's signing a guaranteed 1 year you will start deal unless you are a top like 2 player in your position.
yeah, like
You're not getting that
Caps
deal.
could demand that. Caps is like one of the only players that could probably ever demand that.
JoJo in NA could demand that.
Yeah.
I'm sure Impact could demand that.
Yep.
XU
No.
probably not.
No chance.
Isles probably not.
No.
Like Isles got to stay. He survived the roster just absolute thrashing. But like there's no chance they're arguing for that. They're probably just happy to be in right now.
Yep.
And unfortunately their time came. Like sucks. But I also don't know what to say because the due diligence hasn't been done. It hasn't been done and it needs to be. And this is just another reminder that like we need to push players. We can push owners too and GMs to be more responsible. But I mean Dig seems a little hard-headed anyways, like if we're being honest.
I know what the comeback to this is going to be because I was thinking about this now. I was like, do I post that clip of my speech earlier online? But what's the pushback going to be? And the pushback is going to be, well, these players are now barely making like $100,000. Like they're barely making above the salary that you would get going to a school for a 4-year degree in business and like coming out and getting a job that pays 60 to 70K in a big city. Like they're barely making more than that. And you're expecting them to do all this? Yeah, I kind of am. Because unfortunately, that's the life you're choosing. You are choosing to pursue a dream, which is different than everybody else that's in school, that went to business, that went and got their fucking degrees and sit in an office for 8 hours a day. We all went the safe route, okay? We did the thing that you all don't want to do because you want to pursue a dream.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
if you're gonna pursue it, you have to accept everything that comes with it, and that is looking out for the better good of the other players in your region, which nobody in this esport has done so far.
Sorry, I was just reading all the beans. It just deleted all bean stuff because he posted a leak.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
guess. whatever. But yeah, that is. I mean, that's true, and we're only pushing them out of love.
Yep.
Like that needs to be a reminder too. Like it's all love, but the thing is, it's not going to get any better until they fix it.
Yep.
Like it is on them to fix it, and it sucks. They're young. They're having to figure out big boy stuff.
Yep.
But you know, get agents who are maybe law qualified. Get some people who know how to read a contract involved in these things and figure it out. Like if you can't have agents, then you need to work on this player association with a bit of like sincerity and really work on it. But honestly, it's one of those things where I'm just sitting here like, sucks. It is what it is.
Yep.
I can't fix it. None of us in here can really fix it.
Nope.
Travis Gafford can't fix it.
Nope.
He's in the same boat as us. We're all just complaining about it and hoping it stops at some point and it wakes somebody up. But it's also one of those things of like, I wish that, Tomo and XU and Rich were all getting paid out till the end of the year.
Yeah, but
But
they're not. Because then their
yeah,
contract,
none of
they're
them are.
probably getting paid like like if you get benched, you get paid a
Yeah,
percentage of your salary, 100%.
yeah. And it's so awkward, man. It's so awkward. I get they didn't get told they were getting rid of or whatever, and LS brought it up. But it's like I'm sure the other guys, like they're pretty hosed too.
I just don't
And
understand why if you're Immortals, why you wouldn't make the play.
to go get XU,
Yeah.
I have no clue, dude. I really don't get it. Maybe Grig or Armeo, my bad, is so old in the league that he has like realized maybe he does have that secret great contract written, and Immortals was dumb enough to write it for him and guaranteed him a full year. Like, so they feel like it's not worth paying two of them.
Yeah, maybe.
But I can't believe they would give him a guaranteed salary for a year.
I don't know.
I mean, it's
That
Armeo. Like, we know his ceiling.
that's just the thing that's blowing my mind. Is like once again, like we have the potential in NA to have like really good bottom tier teams. Like
Yeah.
if Immortals picks up XU, if Shopify picks up Fudge, like these
Mhm.
rosters immediately start getting better. And contracts for whatever reason, like, and that's the thing is like this is the hilarious part because like people at the same time for XU, like people wanted him to have like a guaranteed contract, maybe not to start, but like guaranteed pay all the way through. But that could very well be the thing that's screwing him as well from getting a job elsewhere, because Grig and Fake God could have guaranteed salary all year, and none of those
Yep.
teams are making enough money that they can afford to take on 27K more of labor expense a year.
Yep.
Like you don't know, so it's like they could be getting screwed by the same thing that we're asking teams and players to get.
Yeah.
Like we don't
Yeah,
know.
that's true. That's true.
So it's like it's I get people want to hate Dig right now. I get they really want to go in on that. And feel free to do as you please. I don't know who is, nice or not behind the scenes. I don't talk to anybody like one-on-one chat like that to know character or anything else like that. I'm just saying until I see fucking information on the contracts, which will never be revealed because of NDAs, I tend to err on the side of maybe there's a second side to the story.
There's also a little bit of the thought of like in what you were saying, we could be begging for this, but then watch teams always just start going the safe route and not trying people out
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
the
too
other
expensive.
alternative.
Like we're gonna beg for it, and we're gonna lock ourselves in this like terrible hell of like just veterans being giga recycled because we know what their known quantity and we know exactly what's about to happen. I mean, honestly, I do think like week 3 everybody forgets this, and there's a lot more people who will be fans of Dig than won't be
Yeah.
because of this situation. Like I I will probably, and I'm sorry to say this, have forgotten it by week 3,
Oh,
and I will be watching Dig and going, I like Spica. Like, I'll watch Spica and cheer for him. I like Sven. I'll watch Sven and cheer for him. And I'll have forgotten about the situation. But it's not like because I want to sit there and go, I support the terrible things they did if it was that bad in this deal. It's more just because it's like, they hired people I know and people I like. And they were willing to admit that the rich experiment didn't work out. I think they might have gotten rid of Tomio a little quick,
maybe, but they also
and
got
next to
rid.
you a little quick.
They also changed their head coach. So
Yeah, that's true too. They changed their whole vibe, so I can't even really hate on it. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if Jensen ends up on Dig
maybe because you got rid of
sooner.
Rich, so like Dove came there
Yeah,
because of the connection with Rich. Yeah, I mean
sooner than
maybe.
later. I wouldn't be too surprised. They just feel like a team that would do good with Jensen, and they've already had him once before. Isles, I think, stays though.
Yeah, I mean Sven's played with Jensen.
Yeah,
Spica has not.
Pika played with Jensen on Fly. No,
No,
no.
two
Yeah,
different
you're
years.
right. Piccolo.
Um, Licorice has not played
Has
with.
he? C9.
Wait, yeah, it would have been 20. Yeah, 2018 C9. Licorice would have played with Jensen. That was the World Semis squad. It was Jensen, Licorice, Blabber, Sven Skaren, Zazel, Sneaky.
Yeah, so there's definitely gonna be
There's some cohesion there.
there's some more changes that could happen. I know people, yeah, Beans has already said would prefer a more rookie mid. Uh
I agree. I think you
oh,
need
if they
some.
run it back in 2025, yeah.
I think you need. Yeah, you definitely need some sort of young blood in there
I'd be
for sure.
shocked if they run it back in 2025 with this roster. They would have to win it.
I
Like
mean,
they
maybe
would
they're
have to
all on a
play
low
way above
salary.
their
I don't
level.
know.
Yeah, I mean, I still can't believe Surdy doesn't have a spot. I mean, looking around the league, that I thought would be a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to care about it though. But
By the
Surdy
way,
should have a spot.
to any team that wants decent advertisement from me ever, uh, this is like one of those things that you put on a Croc. And I don't have a pair of Crocs. I also don't chew or do anything else like that. I don't smoke. I don't do any. I don't vape. Instead I just chew on random shit, which is probably not the healthiest thing for me. The best advertisement you're ever gonna get from me is this shit hanging out of my mouth 24/7. So if you want to send me your logo stuff for me to chew on 24/7, that shit's gonna bang. I will always have it in my mouth in some way, shape, or form. It's probably not healthy at all, but
Yeah, and if you also want to advertise, I will take any energy items. The rest of you teams I don't care about. Maybe Immortals if they signed with TSM. But yeah, if NRG sends me something, the rest of you, I will not chew on your stuff. And I probably would wear a t-shirt, but never on stream. So you're welcome to send me something.
I mean, Shopify got their bang for their buck with me.
Yeah, they did.
Sent me shit for free, and the first video that I make where I'm wearing the Shopify jersey pops off to like 2.2K views.
I mean, I'm a certified hater, so
Yeah.
that's just is what it is.
I just like to collect stuff for Worlds purposes. It's always
I mean,
nice.
I don't blame you. You are the NA guy. Like half of you is 100 Thieves. The other half is being the NA guy.
I'd say 85% is 100 Thieves.
True. 85%.
85%. And then
probably 100
15,
Thieves.
like, the difference is, like, I'm able to compartmentalize very, very well, in my opinion.
True.
Like, when it is my team's time, I'm going to be
Mhm.
loud, obnoxious, and annoying with it. But the second it's done, it's like I have that ability to just move on real quick and like
Yeah.
focus on the next thing. You want proof that like as much as it's NA, it's still 100 Thieves over that? The CLG happy hours that I went to during Worlds where I got like Danielle and Greg like invited me to like come out and check them out, which I know is just like informal, like come out with everybody else, you know, do whatever. But like when you're invited directly by CLG staff to do that, and I show up wearing 100 Thieves stuff head to toe,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, fucking Degon's giving me shit the entire time. It's like, dude, you show up to a CLG event wearing 100 Thieves stuff?
Yes,
It's like,
sir.
yeah, it's my team. What do you mean?
You invited me. You know who I am.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't as like out and brash with it as I am now. Like I've grown more comfortable with that on social media now. But like
Yeah.
I still go clubbing in 100 Thieves shit.
Another thing I wanted to talk about before we end
Okay.
is isn't that LEC schedule just beautiful?
What do you mean?
Amazing release. They released their schedule with teams when they play, times,
Oh god.
where to be and when to be there, what channel it's on. It's just amazing. It'd be so unique, maybe euphoric, I could say, to have a schedule for, a team that might only play, let's say, once a weekend and know which day that is and what time that is.
I think you're asking a little too much. You
Yeah,
might
my
need to
bad.
tone
I'll
that
calm
down
it down.
with your sarcastic bullshit, sir.
Yeah, my
You're
bad,
asking
my bad.
too much.
Yeah,
We're a
league
small
where-
indie company with only a few million in revenue. What do you want us to do?
the league where the teams play twice a week. So literally, one of the 2 days they're playing. You're just curious who's playing when. Puts out their thing.
Yeah.
Our league, where literally the day will change based upon the weekend,
Yep.
goes.
They'll figure
You
it
don't
out.
need it. Yeah, you don't need it.
You'll be there regardless.
Yeah.
Will we? Will we? I mean, I know I will, obviously. I'm
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome to the fullest. Like, I'm going to be there no matter what.
Yeah.
The full,
you may have
the
to
Mbappe meme.
downgrade the watch party location because they just wouldn't let you book anything in the summer. But that's cool.
Speaking of that, I actually need to reach out to the venue about the World Finals date because we have that set in stone. I want to reach out to them and be like, hey, we able to put a hold on this date? Trying to sell out your venue again?
Yep.
But it's going to be a little bit different now because it's like now that's a full day. And what I want to do is I want to start this conversation early because I have a feeling OS, because it's going to be during the day, because World's Finals will be it'll be probably like 10 or 11 a.m. our time ish. I might have to pay to reserve the venue because that's a business day for them. Like they're gonna have to close if it's at OS, like, and we do it like we did last year for Worlds. We will have to close down their normal operating hours. So that's tough because if we have the amount of people that we had showed up last time, they can't operate. Like they can't be open as a normal business because we're filling it to capacity. Because people are literally traveling in from fucking North Carolina to come watch it. Like, I'm sorry, but nobody's playing. Like, I would love. I don't know if you're gonna be here. I don't know what your deal is gonna be at that time. Like, if you're able to come out to New York for that, bro, it's nuts. Like, they have 30 PCs in the back. All of them had on finals because it was like standing room, and you were just there for the environment.
What's the time? Oh, 09:25. Oh, 11:02 for the last day.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably could be there if I planned right. I do got to figure out some things first.
I got to figure out if that's the right venue because I'll tell you now, I can't have it at the place where we did LCS finals. It's not big enough.
That's fair.
At all.
That's totally fair.
If T1 makes finals, we had 430 people show up at fucking 3 a.m.
Yep.
What's gonna happen when it's at a normal hour? Like, and I've got 5, 5 months to market this. In theory, I could put out an advertisement now saying, hey, World's Finals, November 5th, OSNYC, we're going to be there.
Yeah, and I mean, at least, well, it won't be even at least. It'd be even worse, too, for you if it's a Chinese and a Korean team in that finals, bro. I'm sure it just keeps going up in numbers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, like, what I want to do when we're there this time, like, I want to do a 50-50 raffle.
That'd be fun. That would be pretty fun.
$10, $5 goes into the pot. I don't see, the thing is, like, I wish I could coordinate with Riot and be like, hey, like, what are the dates going to be for this? Can I like start renting out venues, etc., stuff like that? But like, some of that money I would like, in theory, if you did a $5 50-50 and 300 people bought in, how much money is that? If 500 or if 300 people bought in at a $5 thing, that would be, we'd be giving away $750 in cash. And then $750 would go towards like watch parties and other stuff. Like, basically you save it and you say that this is going to fund like other watch parties, drinks, food, catering for future events, stuff like that. So it can, like, we can continue to level up these experiences. But somebody also walks away with $750 in their pocket. That's nuts.
Yeah. I mean, that would be sick. That would be really cool. And that would be good for your future events. I mean, your future events would go really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, because at this rate, League in New York City seems to be growing pretty crazy. For Worlds, at least.
League here is good. Like, this year is going to be the real test for me to see what we can do. And like, assuming T1's not in finals, how many people will show up to a World's Finals event when it's marketed well in advance?
Yep.
I don't know.
That's true.
I do not know. But anything else you want to chat about before we wrap this up? I got to get my questions over to Jungle Juice at some point tonight, so I got to start thinking of those.
Trying to think. What I have? Oh yes, I have one thing.
Oh boy.
I beg you from the bottom of my heart, ESPN, get Doris Burke off the fucking mic. I'm done listening to Doris Burke. I'm sick of it. Get her off the mic. I'm done with Doris Burke, okay? And honestly, get that New Yorker, that soy boy, Mike Breen off the mic too. I'm done with them. And honestly, I hate Duke. I'm a Carolina fan. Get JJ Redick off the mic. Get any different pair of 3 people in there. I beg you. That's all I got. That's it. Nothing much. Why? Do you have anything?
Not after that. All I gotta say is, Disney, I love you. Thank you for signing my paychecks. I have no affiliation with what he just said at all. I love ESPN. I love everybody on the broadcast and everything there. I'm looking forward to moving to our new office downtown later this year. We're going to Soho.
I won't say enough. I said enough, I think.
I said enough reaming out the players in that rant. So
yeah. Dude, yesterday I was so mad listening to them. Gosh dang, dude. It was so frustrating.
Yesterday was a wild day on social media. Wild day.
For what? League?
Just, yeah. Everybody freaking out. Like,
in NBA.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you on next week's episode. In terms of my stream, I will probably stream again maybe tomorrow. Definitely Friday. And then your boy is going to a day club on Saturday morning. So Saturday, no stream. I'm gonna be out in the sun, buns out, having a good time. By buns, I like clothes. That wasn't the right word to use. I don't know what
Sun's
the.
out, buns out. Instead of sun's out,
I'm not
guns
wearing.
out.
I'm not wearing a thong. I'll tell you that much. I'm not wearing a thong. Yeah. I don't know. I need Emily. Nope, not getting horny on air. All right, everybody, have a good night.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are you about to say?